So this is Community Conversations on Public Education. I'm Erica Zerr. I am a candidate for school board here in Eau Claire, and today I'm talking with Khoua Vang, who's a second grade teacher at Flint Elementary School, a parent of two kiddos in the school district, and an educator at the university. Khoua is a real leader in the Hmong community, a real leader in the education community in Eau Claire, and I am so excited that I got to sit down with her. You're involved in the district in lots of capacities. Do you want to tell us about that?
Yeah, so I teach second grade, and I've been teaching for the district for 12 years. This year, some of the Hmong parents are actually coming together to start a Hmong parent-teacher organization as well, too. So that is very exciting.
And you're a parent.
I'm a parent, too.
Yeah.
So.
And your kids are?
I have a 10-year-old and a 5-year-old in the district. They both go to Roosevelt.
Wow.
Yeah.
So not only are you a Hmong educator, you are helping to get this Hmong Parent Teacher Association up and running.
Yes.
And you're also an advocate for Hmong cultural education at the university.
Yes, you're right. I started teaching at the university this year too, and it's always been a dream, a passion of mine too. So after I graduated from my master's program, I was given this opportunity, and it's been a wonderful experience there.
So Hmong education has kind of always been a passion. Like, it's what got you into education, right?
Yes. Well, probably in 4th grade, I remember riding in the back of my parents' seat in their car, and my mom was driving an aunt home, and they were talking about how they really wished that they could read or write in English. And just in the 4th grade, I had a vision of building this literacy program in our basement. I had no idea what a literacy program was.
4th grade? You were in 4th grade?
I was in 4th grade, but I saw this literacy program in our basement, me helping these elderly women, because I saw their passion for learning. I wanted to help. And so since then, I've been on this education journey. But seeing other students of my culture coming through as well, I see myself in them. And so I have this passion to connect experience and learning together, and just to be a role model for those students that were like me as well too, or are like me.
So when you came into education then, were you an English language learner? Did you primarily speak Hmong and had to learn English in school?
I came to the States when I was 5. And at that point, I had no experience of English at all. I went into kindergarten not even knowing how to ask the teacher if I could use the bathroom. That was, it's still such a vivid memory for me, standing next to my teacher, wanting to ask her to go to the bathroom, but I did not have the words to ask her. And I just went up to her, and I stood next to her, and I just looked at her. Luckily, I had a cousin there too, and she was able to help me translate or interpret for me. But it took me a year. I mean, just listening to people, engaging in conversations with my teachers and peers, and my mom used us in the community a lot to interpret for her, and all of a sudden, English, it became natural for me, but it was a struggle. I did grow up, English being my second language.
What do you see for your community right now in education in Eau Claire? Like, what do you think challenges are? What's working? What are you excited about? What still kind of makes you go, we could do better there?
Right. Hmong families are very united. I mean, we're very family oriented. In that sense, we come together for a lot of things, for support, funerals, weddings, gatherings. But in education, you see an isolation. And I think it's because they're not sure who to reach out to, or how to utilize the services. And so I think that's one of the reasons why a few of us are coming together to get the parent-teacher organization going, because we want to be able to provide a place where parents could come together and ask questions. If their kids are in IEP, like, how can we help? If they have questions about special education, if they have questions about the EL services, all of those things we want to be able to provide for them. We don't want our Hmong kids to feel isolated, but then yet at the same time, we also want them to know that they are part of the community. And that they're not any different, but yet at the same time, they are special because they have their own culture. Yeah.
So that's definitely been a trend. So the last two interviews that I've done, we've really talked about cultural isolation within schools and how challenging that can be,
Right.
For students of color and from different backgrounds. And it's interesting that that's a really intriguing idea to have a parent-teacher association. And I'm excited to see the ideas and the insight that a group of Hmong parents will have into how can we make our education system work for our Hmong population in a way that includes them and honors them.
Right.
That'll be really...
Yeah, because we know kids thrive more in education if parents, if kids see that their parents are invested in them as well too, and that they have a passion in their kids' learning as well.
So in recent years, the Eau Claire School District has begun to include Hmong cultural history education opportunities within the high schools. So can you tell me more about those offerings and language offerings within the district?
So the Eau Claire School District, the high school, I know they're embedding the history study in one of their world studies units, migration. They're focusing on the Hmong migration from China to Laos. And I know they're also offering a separate course on Hmong history and culture as well. In the summer, this will be the second year they're offering the Hmong language culture study. So the bulk of the course is on language, but then cultural studies is also embedded in it as well.
We were talking about education and about possibilities in education and about how we can serve all types of learners and different types of learners. And at the time you were in your master's program, and I was so inspired by your passion for designing programs to meet the needs of different learners. And I was wondering if you could speak to that. Like, what is your dream for education in that way? Like, what do you see as the ultimate good in education?
Well, as we learn more about the brain, we just know that everybody learns so differently. And it's just so hard to have like a one-size-fits-all for all students. And so I would love to have a classroom where I can provide differentiation for students and have students that are hands-on learner, have opportunities for them to be creative. I just feel like we don't give that enough to our students anymore, to challenge them to problem solve. And the content are very rigorous, but it doesn't allow them to problem solve or work with people to be more creative. And I would like to see the education system provide more of that opportunity. And I think that's where project-based learning will allow kids to do that.
How do we increase our cultural responsiveness as educators? How do we make sure that our students of color and our students of diverse backgrounds, how do we make sure that they feel understood and welcome within our schools?
I think we need to hear from them too. Sometimes we get professional development from a book or from somebody who thinks they've studied this culture, and we give these theories to teachers, and then the teachers are like, yeah, but we want to hear from those actual people from that culture, not just from some doctor who's probably researched on it. But I think even because culture changes as time changes as well too. And so maybe even hearing from the students themselves about what is culturally relevant to them, or even the families. And really inviting people to, of that culture to come and share. I feel like that is where we need to start. Yeah.
So as a Hmong educator, do you feel a connection among students? Do you feel that you have an opportunity to connect with those individuals within your school who might need a mentor that understands them?
I do, and especially some of those girls that, like I said earlier, like I feel like I connect well with them because I see myself in them. And so with those students, I try to spend a little bit more time with them, whether it's, fostering what they like to do. So if they like to draw, just spending a recess time and just drawing with them and getting to know them a little bit more too. And one of the students that moved to Wausau, and he would still write me and just say, Mrs. Vang, you are one of my favorite teachers because I don't know what it is, but there was something, and he's Hmong too, but it was something, I think it's just knowing that I am like him, that he can connect with me, and knowing that somebody is that I'm familiar. I have a student right now, and he's very active, but the EL teacher said, she said, I feel that he's doing better because he feels like he wants to please you because he can identify with you. And so
that is so powerful.
Yeah.
It's incredibly powerful. Yes. So how do we get more diversity in our staff in the Eau Claire School District? How do we give that to more kids in more buildings? Because we kind of don't have a lot of it.
Right.
How do we do that?
That is $1 million question because I don't know the answer to it as well. I think we need to value our educators. When we used to value our educators, and they have better benefits and better pay, we had more Hmong people going into education, and it was a competitive program. And now they hired somebody just to go out and promote the program. So I think whether it's for minority or for the mainstream, I think we just need to show that we appreciate and value our educators.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Across the board.
Across the board. Yeah.
Yeah. I agree. I think that education needs to become a competitive field.
Yeah.
If we want to attract individuals, any individual,
right.
to it, but particularly those who are looking to lift themselves.
Right.
You know what I mean? As like through a career. How do you sell teaching?
Right.
As a career that's going to propel you into the future and help you with your family. And that's really, it's not something that we can easily do right now.
Right.
What we can do, and I think what Wisconsin has been really good at, what this district has been good at in the past, is creating a really attractive environment for the creative teacher, where if you love kids and you want to make the world a better place by helping children, this is a place where you will be honored and respected and get to practice those skills and get to be that person. And I think you're right. When we tamp down on flexibility and creativity for our teachers, when we don't treat them like professionals and then we wonder, and we don't compensate them like professionals.
Right, yeah.
Those two things together, we're going to lose everybody.
Right.
We're going to lose the petite Hmong women and the white women.
Yes.
I first met Khoua a little over a year ago and was completely struck by her passion for kids and her passion for education, and in getting to know her more and learning that that passion extends well into her childhood, it was just so inspiring for me to see somebody follow their dream through, and Khoua's doing incredible things in our district for kids of all ages, for kids in her classroom, in the summer program for middle school and high schoolers, and on into college.